Hey everyone, it's Frankie-Lou. I'm coming to you today from the kitchen of the Grow Together homestead, where I am doing a little prepping for planting in the spring. It is early January here and it's still -19 out there, so there's not a heck of a lot planting going in the ground. And since I live here in southern Alberta in the Chinook belt, it's still too early for me to do my winter sowing. So what I'm doing is I'm going through my fabulous seed collections and I'm organizing. I'm deciding what can be planted this year, what needs to be culled, and what are my wish lists for this year to start new stuff. I know a lot of you are also doing this right now, sort of dreaming and planning and stuff. But I know a lot of you are probably throwing away seeds that you think are too old and not really sure. Because having worked in the garden industry, I see a lot of people throwing away seeds, just assuming they're not any good anymore. That's probably not necessary. That's another thing I learned working in the industry, is that seeds are far more resilient than we give them credit for. Okay, they've been around a lot longer than we have been. And if you think about nature, nature's conditions aren't always perfect, and yet stuff continues to grow. All right, so when we are dealing with seeds, you know, when you see the back of the package, it says used by a certain date, or it was packed for use on this date. I have often pushed those used by dates a decade. Okay, I know that may sound crazy, but I will show you how you can test to see if you have some packets lying around that you're like, that's like 5 years, I don't know. Or even, I know some of you people who are new to gardening think that you can only keep seeds for a year. That's not so. What I want to show you first is how you can test to see if some seeds that you have around that you're not sure of are viable. Particularly seeds where you have like a whole bunch. Like in this radish pack here, there's probably 1,000 seeds. Like, it's amazing how many seeds you can get. And so if you just do a test of a small proportion of those, you can see if those seeds can be planted with a very simple germination test. No special equipment. You can do this at home, and it might save you a little money so that you can splurge on those seeds that you really want to get, those new ones. Because if I told you not to go out and splurge and buy some fun new seeds, I'd be an absolute hypocrite, because I plan to do that myself. Okay, so first off, what you want to do is you want to get the seeds that you have in question here. I have some radish pod seeds that I saved for myself this summer, and I left them in the greenhouse a little too long, because one thing that does harm seed viability more than anything else, I would say, in my own experience, I'm sure there's people who've had different experiences, is humidity. When it gets damp, that seems for me to kill more seeds than anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a simple paper towel. I find for this that heavier paper towels work better than very, very light ones. Okay, so I got a good quality paper towel here. I have a nice fine mister. Okay, I'm going to label the other side, because you'll see what I'm going to do. You want to know what you're dealing with. So I'm going to go radishes. Okay, I'm going to write that on there. Then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to sprinkle. I'm going to put on this one, this is probably 20 seeds. I don't want to do a lot more than that, because if these seeds are viable, I've wasted, because once you do this, you can't plant these seeds. And so if you've got some really pricey seeds, like tomato seeds, some of those can be crazy. Maybe you only want to test 2 or 3 of those, all right? But this is a radish seeds where I've got thousands, because they're my own. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that fine mister and just mist it till it's just damp, okay? I'm going to then roll it up, and I'm going to pop it in an open baggie. That'll help to keep these seeds humid for a week. Now, the reason you're like, but didn't you just say that humidity isn't good for seeds? And it's true, it isn't, because what it does is it can cause them to start sprouting. And once they've started sprouting, you can't sort of halt that and start it again later. So if they start to sprout or go moldy, that's another thing that can happen, they're not going to be viable. Now, I started some of these a week ago, so that you can see, these are some tests that I did a week ago. But in the meantime, I'm gonna pop this one in and I will check them in a week. I had to mist these, like just put a little mist in there. I did that twice this last week just to ensure that that moisture is there to force germination if it is gonna happen. Oh, I can see that some of these, they're coming out of the paper towel here, but it's kind of exciting to see if your seeds have done well. So what I have here are some alyssum seeds from a really old pack that I found, and I'm gonna unroll them, and then I'll show you. Oh my goodness. If I lift this up and show you here, you can see there's lots of green sprouting, okay? I would say that that is about an 80% germination rate. And that was a pack that was like 5 years old. And I didn't keep it very well. Like I found it tucked away in the greenhouse where humidity goes up and down. So even under those conditions, these seeds are ready to go. Then let's see, Orash. Okay, so these are some of my own seeds that I saved from last year. And I wasn't very careful about it last year when I was doing it, but that actually is 100% germination rate on those. Okay, every single one of these has sprouted. And if you're into math, you know, you can divide it up and go, okay, 10 seeds, 9 sprouted, I got 90%, right? Okay, here we go. Oh, I was sort of hoping this would happen to show you some seeds that aren't very viable. I had some Nigella seeds that were real, the packet was all wrinkly and crinkly, and I thought, oh, a lot of humidity got in there. And if you look at these ones, I've got only 5 of the ones that I planted there, that I put in there have sprouted. 5 out of 20 is not a great germination rate, right? Now that doesn't mean you necessarily have to throw these away. I'm not necessarily gonna throw these packs away, especially if I can't. This is a variety that I really like. And if I can't find a new pack, what I'll do is I will just plant accordingly. I will overplant to make up for that loss in germination, okay? Because these seeds are still gonna be fine. They're still gonna produce good plants. There's just not as many of them are gonna actually germinate. So you can play with those numbers yourself, right? As to whether or not you wanna plant the seeds. And a lot of people wouldn't plant these, but I'm gonna winter sow them anyways. It's not a lot of work. So I'll just make sure that when I'm putting them in my milk jugs, I'll put 4 times as much as I normally would. Okay, so I hope that was helpful in terms of seed germination tests. As you can see, extremely simple to do. If you want to ensure your seeds are going to be viable, here's a few little tips. What you do want to do is ensure that they're dry, and you want to keep them somewhere where the temperature is fairly consistent. It doesn't have to be in the freezer, but I do keep these in a nice spot that I know is going to stay pretty consistent throughout the year. So that helps as well. Keeping in paper is a good idea. And when I'm actually packaging up my own seeds, I love these little coin envelopes. I think they're perfect for different sizes. And the best thing about them is I can keep them labeled and in my handy dandy little organizer here. My little photo album organizer works really well. So that helps as well. Keeping them dry and keeping the temperature consistent, keeping them in paper. Paper works because it helps. If you keep it in plastic, sometimes any little bit of humidity is trapped, like in this plastic bag, right? So keeping it in paper, the paper is a little bit more forgiving and will help to maintain a more consistent humidity in there. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I hope that will help you save some money for your seeds, okay? So that you can spend money on some fun new seeds, and you can maybe reuse some of the old seeds, because hardly anybody ever uses a whole pack of seeds in 1 year, right? So I'm hoping that you might find a way that you could save yourself a little dough on those seeds so that you can have more fun with the ones that you really want to buy. As always, please keep posted if you want to see some of the fun stuff we're going to be doing on the homestead coming up. I am going to start my winter sowing in about a month's time, and we'll keep you guys apprised as we go along. And if you have any questions or anything you'd like to see us do a video on, please do let us know in the comments. And as always, I hope you'll take this chance to grow together today. Have a good one.